Okay, this is a step-by-step instructions. I'm not going to show you because I already did it. The way to get to these lines for the high-pressure hose for a 1996 Ford Thunderbird, you have to remove the oil filter and the power steering unit. Yeah, I know it sucks. Sorry about the sound. It's a little windy over here where I'm at. It's blowing pretty hard. But what I ended up having to do was I disconnect the connector that goes in back of the power steering pump. I guess there's some kind of electrical information connector that goes to it. And after that, you disconnect the connector, you're able to see the lower 10 millimeter bolt on the power steering. You won't be able to get the one that's underneath the line if your lines are stuck. This video is because if your lines are stuck and you can't get them off while they're on the car, other than strip them, once you find out you can't get them off, don't put no power into them, because you're just going to strip them and then you're not going to have a way to get them off. Just remember, think outside the box. This high pressure power steering line, you're removing it because it's leaking. You're not going to be reusing it. So cut the damn thing off. Cut off close to the power steering pump. And what I use is a pair of these dikes. They work pretty good. I bought these at Harbor Freight. They're not new. It's just something I had in my arsenal already. And this will cut through this kind of tubing very easily. It cuts through the brake tubing and it cuts through the power steering line tubing. So after I got it out, here I'll show you here on the power steering unit itself. So first you're going to have to remove the pulley, because you won't be able to do any work on it with the pulley on it. Then after you disconnect this connector, and I don't know if it's supposed to do this, but this does spin around. So if it's kind of like down too far like that, you might be able to spin it around back to the other spot where it belongs. I think there's an O-ring in there that I'm going to have to check out to see if it needs replacing. But so when you spin this around, this is how the power steering unit is sitting in the car. So this would be the bottom. So you'll have access to this bottom bolt. Get that bolt, unscrew it, get it all the way out. You're going to find also a clamp that goes on the hose itself. It's not welded to the hose. I thought it was because it was so dirty and stuck on there that it might have been, soldered to the hose. But I thought, well, that makes no sense if this clamp is, or this bracket's on there. That bracket that's on here also goes to that bolt. And how would you get that off? So I ended up finding out after you get this 10 millimeter bolt off, this clamp goes sideways, and this is actually the screw where this bracket goes to. See that hole right there? So you got two different ones. Take this 10 millimeter off to get this bracket off. What I had to do is pry it with a little screwdriver, get under it and pry it off, and it unclips from the pipe. And then got this 10 millimeter bolt out. And as you can see, you can't get that 10 millimeter bolt with this on there. And see, what we're struggling is we can't get this off because the damn thing's stuck on there. So what I did is, after the pulley was removed, I took off the hose. Actually, it was still attached. I didn't remove the hose until after it was out of the car, because I couldn't get to it with a pair of pliers. But once that hose is off and the pulley is off, you can still see these 10 millimeter nuts here, or the bolts that go up here on top. I was able to get these off with a ratchet wrench, a 10 millimeter ratchet wrench. I took the front one off first, so that way when I went for the back one, the wrench wouldn't be hitting the front one. So take the front one off first, then the back one. Then all I had was this one left. And you see how much room it has to come out. Well, when it's all the way down, your ratchet wrench will fit in there. It'll go in there, you can crack it loose and keep spinning it and spinning it and spinning it. And what happens is the power steering pump actually comes away from the block and this stays down. So you can keep on spinning, loosening it, and then you got the power steering off. Once the power steering is off, cut the line with those dikes that I showed you, those right there. Cut the line and you'll be able to fish out the power steering unit. Once you finish out the power steering unit, then you're wide open to get the oil filter off. Once the oil filter is off, and I recommend the oil filter is in the pain in the ass spot to do an oil change. So while you're doing this service, might as well do oil change service. Get the oil filter new, because you don't want to screw on the old oil filter, especially if it has a hard ring on it and it's going to start leaking like the way this one looked. I reached up in there and it just spun off with my hand. So now that power steering unit's out, the oil filter's out of the way, now you got extra room into getting, which I'll show you here in a bit, the other end that's attached to the actual rack and pinion. So but in order to get those off, I was thinking, hey, you know, we don't have to save these lines. I'm just gonna cut them off here, because if you try to use a crow's foot or a stubby wrench, you know, it just depends on your car, I guess. If they're super tight and, you know, don't want to come off for nothing, then this is gonna have to be the way that you have to do it. Cut it off, and then I'm gonna show you how to cut it off right out here, and we're gonna use a socket to get this off. So let's see if my plan works. Okay, I cut most of the way through, so don't think I did this one-handed. So, and if it's hard to get through, then just get little bites of it until it bites all the way through. See? Got it off. Now I'm gonna get a deep socket and see if I can bust that loose. Okay, next, what we did was we went ahead and put it in a vise. Where this deal is facing up, we clamped on the part where it bolts to the block. And I found a rubber plug that fit right over the entrance to the hose. And now we're concentrating on the fitting. So let's get that off. And ladies and gentlemen, my idea worked. It broke loose. There was no unnecessary stress. When I was down there and I was trying to get this off while it was all put together to get the whole line out complete, it was very stressful. I went to bed last night and I couldn't sleep for crap. And I actually dreamt this situation. So now that I got the fitting off, power steering is ready to go. I'm going to put a plug on that, clean it all up so it's nice and clean before I reinstall it. And now I'm going to go under to show you the bottom part, how we're going to get that off. So I hope this procedure helps you out. I had a kind of, I guess, dream outside the box. So we'll continue at the bottom. Yeah, so I was under there for a good few hours yesterday and I couldn't figure out a way to get this off. So, and this took me 5 minutes, if even that. So now we got a perfectly good power steering unit ready to go back in. Once we get the new lines on there, it'll seal itself. Now I'm going to take you under the car so we can get the line off from under there. Okay, I'm giving you a shot from below the car. I hope you can see everything. Let's see if I can. You can see where the oil filter was, where the power steering mounts to right there. Back there where the line's at. So it looks like I'm gonna have to work from the top a little bit and snip the line off, and then we gotta get that back piece off first. The back piece is a 22 millimeter, and let's get it done.